Let's go.
All right, Shalom, it's the brother Qurna.
It's the brother Kadash.
I'd like to start off by giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakwadash. Peace and blessings to all the brothers in this truth. Back another week with another lesson. But this week we're gonna kind of do a little spin-off. You know, we originally doing breakdowns of Revelation, right? But this week we're gonna do a little spin-off so I can get in and get some work done too. You know, because as we doing the book of Revelations, the whole book of Revelation, I'm still learning. So this do a little spin-off just so to kind of give insight on what I do know, you know what I mean, as far as the truth. And hopefully this will be an edifying video. But the title of today's video is going to be, Who Are the Edomites? Right? Who are the Edomites? And we wanted to do that title just for the ones who don't know and the ones who do know but act like they don't know who the Edomites are and what's their purpose, how they was founded, I mean not founded, but how they was created, you know what I mean, and what's their sole purpose.
Yeah, The Edomites, Alexander the Greek was an Edomite. His bloodline goes back to Esau. The leadership group of the Greeks, no different than the same people that was in leadership during the Romans, which is no different than the people that's in rulership of America, the so-called Caucasian man. America's going to be destroyed when the Lord comes back. That's why the Lord is coming back. America's mystery Babylon in the Bible. The Lord is coming back to save his elect, save his people, so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans, which are the true Israelites, and he's coming back to destroy America, mystery Babylon the Great, and take his people back to the chosen land. That's the prophecy of the Bible. That's why the Lord is coming back.
Yeah, and this is also going to help you better understand what the brother just said of who the people that are in leadership that he was just talking about, right? Who's in control of mystery Babylon the Great. Everything that goes on revolves around their laws and why they are in control, because they were set up that way by the Lord, and so on and so forth. We're gonna get right into it.
Yeah, this is Genesis 25, verse 19. It says, and these are the generations of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Now, I want y'all to pay attention how it's mentioning all men. This man begot that man, so you come from your father's seed, right? Abraham's sons. Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac was 40 years old, and he took Rebekah to wife, the daughter of Bethuel of Syrian, and Padan Amram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah his wife conceived. And the children struggled together within her, and she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord, and the Lord said unto her, 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels.
Okay, so going kind of back up to the top, right? When it says that Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac wife Rebekah, right? And the reason why it was such a and the reason why they were so entreated was because Rebekah had something going on with her to the point where she couldn't bear. Like all her life she couldn't bear, right? And so she ended up getting pregnant at an old age. I want to say she was like 90 or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. She ended up getting pregnant at an old age, and she ended up getting pregnant with twins.
Yeah, Sarah had the same thing. Sarah got pregnant at 90. Yeah, Sarah, because she had the same thing. She was barren too, and then Rebekah got pregnant too, and Rebekah, like your brother said, had two nations in her womb. Yeah, it says 2 nations are in thy womb, and 2 manner of people shall be separated from thy bowels, and the one people shall be stronger than the other, and the elder shall serve the younger.
Okay, now the elder shall serve the younger. So the elder out of the twins is the one that came out first, right? And it's going to get into who that was and who's the one that came out after, and that's what it's saying when it says the elder shall serve the younger.
Yeah, I got a precept if I could find Second Esdras 6 and 9. But this is, let's finish up right here and then I'll pull that precept. Verse 24. It says, and when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red all over like a hairy garment, and they called his name Esau, the first, right, the elder. It says, and after that came his brother out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, and his name was called Jacob, and Isaac was 80 years old when she bare them. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter and a man of the field. Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents, and Isaac loved Esau because he did not eat of his venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob.
You up in the reading Esdras?
Yeah. Well, you can break that down if you want to.
Yeah. So, all right. So the first one was Esau, right? That's the firstborn of the two. He came out first, and it said he was red all over like a hairy garment, right? So now, once you think about what that just said, there's a certain people on this earth today that when they're born, they come out red, and you can pretty much see through their skin, right? And if you've been honest with yourself, then you will identify, or you will know who that people is today.
Right.
You know what I mean? And the reason for that is because they don't have no pigmentation in their skin. And now the other brother, which was Jacob, goes back into who we are today, right? He came out looking like us, right? He had darker skin.
Because he came out looking like his mother and father.
Exactly.
So it wasn't a big astonishment on how his appearance was. But for Esau, there was, because he looked different than his mother and father. He ain't have no, what they call it?
Pigmentation.
Nah, melanin. He ain't had no melanin in his skin. You know what I mean? So that's what his name means. It's Esau in the Hebrew means wasted away. Because his father seen him and was like, look, his skin is wasted away. His melanin is wasted away. He came out very light.
And that's what he start and that's what he starts screaming when he seen him, right? In the Hebrew, it was like I saw, right? If I'm not going off, which means wasted away, right? And that's where he get his name from. That's how he was named, because of how he came out and how his father seen him.
So when you breaking down the Bible, if you want to understand this, you have to be able to, you don't have to know the Hebrew perfect by heart, but you have to be able to reference to something. Right. You know, usually we go to the Bible Blue Book, you know, and then we go to our elders and stuff like that, so you can kind of get the meaning. So the meaning of the words, that's why we always looking up definitions of the words. Right. We get a word and we be like, what does that word mean? We either go to Bible Blue Letter or whatever, or we go to the internet and we look up the definition of the word, so you could get a better understanding. Just like, for example, the word husband. So how do you know what a real husband is? You got to go get the definition of what husband means, you know, just for example. But this is 2 Esdras 6, verse 7. Then answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of times, or when shall be the end of the first and the beginning of it that followeth, right? So the end of this world, right, that we're living in right now, and then the beginning, which is the kingdom of heaven, right? It says that he said unto me, for Abraham and to Isaac and Jacob and Esau were born, and of him Jacob held first the heel of Esau. For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is of it that followed. Meaning that Esau will be in rulership during the end of the world when the Lord comes back, and then Jacob will get his kingdom after. So we could put two and two together to know who's in rulership of the earth right now. Right. Whoever that is, those are the Edomites, and those are the wicked of the earth. So Abraham Lincoln and his people, obviously, the presidents, right? Those would be the people that you would say that would be in rulership today.
Right.
They still in rulership. They still in rulership of America. So-called Caucasians, white men. They're the rulers of America, the same way they was the rulers of ancient Rome, right? So those are the Edomites.
Exactly. Nope.
Obadiah 1.
Yeah, Obadiah 1.
Starting at 1. It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom, right? This concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and the ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen. Thou art greatly despised. The pride of thy heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the cleft of the rocks, right? Whose habitation is high, that say in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground?
So right there. Right, so right, so those that despise thee, right, where it says that those that despise thee, so that thee is talking about the Israelites, right? And if you being honest with yourself, our biggest enemy, right, as a nation, our biggest enemy is the same people that took our ancestors into captivity 400 some odd years ago, right? And we still in captivity today, right? Now they the pride of their heart have deceived them. How? Because right now they're in rulership of the world, but they think that that's going to last forever, right? They don't see no end into it, and they think we're going to be subject to them and be in captivity up under them forever, right? They don't consider the day of the Lord.
Yep, just like it says, look, whose habitation is high. Now that's spiritual and literal, because they come from the caves, the Caucasus caves, right? They the cavemen, and then they run that same living here to America, and that's why they build the skyscrapers. The first skyscrapers was built in America. I believe it was Chicago, but it could be New York, right? So that's that spirit, right? And then spiritually, their habitation is high because they empowered. So if you are honest with yourself, like the brother said, you know who's in rulership, you know who's empowered, right? What nation got the biggest military, the strongest military, right? And got the most nukes on earth, right? And who's in control of that military as a people? Come on, be honest with yourself. I got free stuff. You got something good.
Yeah, and just think of, you know, the airplanes and you know, stuff like that. They got a what you call it up there in space? They got a nest up there in space.
The space station.
Yeah, the space station. So that's another way of you identifying them.
Satellites.
You know what I'm saying? That's their habitation. They like to be above and watch. You know what I mean?
Starlink and all that shit, man.
Yeah.
They are empowered, man. If you're honest with yourself, you know who's empowered. The same people that's empowered. Like Negroes, we don't own jets, man, and missiles. We don't have a nuke. So-called Negroes or the so-called Hispanics, they don't have a nuke. Native Americans don't have a nuke somewhere. This is the Native American nuke.
Right.
The tribe of Cherokee nuke, with Cherokee written on the side of the nuke. We don't have that shit, man. So it's obvious that we're not empowered. U.S. Bank, guess who U.S. Bank is owned by? Caucasian. PNC Bank, guess who PNC Bank is owned by? Caucasian. I guarantee Abraham Lincoln Museum is owned by Caucasians.
Yeah.
So you know who's empowered. Now that's not to say that the other nations like Ishmael don't have a blessing, or Moab don't have a blessing, and they don't come here and get rich and own stuff. But Esau's in the rulership here. What's those mountains? Mount Rushmore?
Mount Rushmore, Mount Everest.
Who faces on Mount Rushmore?
Okay. I'm thinking you're talking about this like high mountains.
Right. Do you see any Asians on Mount Rushmore? Any Africans or Native Americans, Latinos, Negroes?
No.
Look at that big. All you see is Edomites on that motherfucker. So that lets you know who's empowered. And those are the Edomites. I got another precept. Proverbs 29, verse 1. He that being often reproved harden his neck shall suddenly be destroyed. And that without remedy, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. So the world's mourning today, man. You got all type of shit coming out. People sick and tired of it.
Exactly.
And who's in rulership? The Caucasians. So who are the wicked? The Caucasians, man.
Exactly. And we speaking for the righteous though. Right? We speaking for the righteous that know that everything that the so-called wicked is trying to normalize, right? If I'm saying that right, that's trying to normalize in these laws and everything that they got set up, you know what I mean, as far as the alphabet people, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, they done turned that day into a whole holiday, right? So for the righteous, we see what's going on around us and know that this is bullshit, and we ready for this shit to be done.
Yep. Romans 9. Where you wanted that? Verse 13?
Verse 11.
Verse 11. This is Romans 9, Romans chapter 9, verse 11. For the children being not yet born, neither having done good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. And it was said to her that the elder shall serve the younger. Going back to Genesis 25.
Right.
As it is written, Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated.
Right. So just like it said, as it is written. Now this is scripture right here that, you know, that get a lot of the brothers in trouble, right? But it ain't nothing but the truth. You know what I mean? And Jacob and Esau, right, are twin brothers, yet Esau is our wicked twin brother. And the Lord just said who he loved out of the two and who he hated, right? But each one of those brothers are the forefathers of who we are today, of us today. And both of those brothers had a lot, right? Both of those brothers had a lot that their inheritance was gonna follow, if I'm getting to you right. You know what I mean? So we was all set in place to do what we doing. You know what I mean? And there was a wicked brother and there was a righteous brother.
Yep, so that's why it says not according to works, but just for election. That's what the Lord built them to be. Because a lot of people always say, well, how is that fair? Right? How is that right? Right? That they're the wicked, that the Lord made them that way. Why would the Lord do that? Why would he create them just to destroy them? That's what the Lord's plan is. Just like if you got a movie, you create an evil bad guy. Thanos in the end of Avengers, he got destroyed, he got killed in part 2. So the director made Thanos to be wicked and to get killed and to be destroyed and lose the battle at the end of Avengers 2.
Right.
So that's just what the author made it. You know, the Lord has the power to do that, right? Why would you create different people on Earth and then just everybody's just the same? That would make the story uninteresting. That wouldn't be a good movie. That would be an uninteresting movie. You would turn that shit off. Right. You gotta have a bad guy. You gotta have a good guy. The underdogs, the good guys become the underdogs, and then they always rise up to the top to win. Esau puts in all his movies. That's what makes the greatest movies, man. It's when you have the good guy, the bad guy's winning. Avengers. Shit, even Black Panther. Killmonger was considered the bad guy. He was winning. He beat T'Challa, right? And then T'Challa came back to finally beat him and win. The good guy won. That's what made all the movies great. They get that from the Lord, man. So we the good guy. We really the good guys. We down low right now, but we gonna win at the end. This is Malachi chapter 1, verse 1. You wanna It says, the burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, say the Lord, yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us? Was not Esau's Jacob's brother, say the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. I laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragon of the wilderness. So that means the Lord said he hated Esau. So if you ask yourself, does the Lord hate? Yes, the Lord do hate. He said he hated Esau. Right? The Lord hates sin. You know, so the Lord actually hates a certain people. You want to keep on? Yeah. Verse 4. Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Because they went down during the time of the Romans, but that deadly wound was healed, and they came back eventually as the Americans, but they came back as the French, the Spaniards, right? And the Germans. And then eventually that turned to what you know as the Americans. Right? It says, they shall build, but I will throw down. They should call them the border of wickedness and the people against whom the Lord has indignation for forever.
Yeah, so they're the border of wickedness, right? Just like the brother was explaining, right? They shall build and they shall tear down, right? So everything, right, that you see in America pretty much that was building on the backs of our ancestors, right? That was built on the backs of our ancestors, free labor, you know what I mean? They take credit for it, right? And all of this shit is going to be desolate, just like the Lord said. You know what I mean? They're the border of wickedness, so in them, it's impossible for them to do right.
And then just like I read in Proverbs 29, it says the wicked are when the wicked are in rulership, the earth mourns.
Exactly.
So who's the wicked? Esau. So who's the Edomites? So-called Chaldeans. That's how you put together the Bible. It's very simple. Like I give you a quick breakdown without getting the precepts, because that'll be something different, but you could track back who goes to Esau, how Esau look. You could look up the image of Esau. They're gonna show him as a white man. You could look up the Edomites' God. His name is called Cos, QOS, and you could see who he looked like, and you could say who looks like that on Earth today. If you trace back Alexander the Greek, which we all know is a so-called, so he would be considered a so-called Caucasian man today, right?
Yeah.
His father, Philip, the Macedonian, right? The Macedonian, he was a Macedonian. He looks like, look, to go down that one way, he looked like the rest of the Macedonians, right? Which goes back to Haman in the book of Esther. You read about that in, I believe it's First Maccabees.
Haman or Harab?
Haman, the Macedonian, and you read about that. You read about him in the book of Esther. Now, Haman, the Macedonian, was also an Agite, right? Because he came from the same bloodline as King Agag, right? You could search that back, but King Agag, he was an Amalekite. Now we know that Amalekite is the grandson of Esau. So that's how you trace back that whole bloodline to who the Edomites are today. So if you trace that all the way back, that would mean that Alexander the Greek he came from the bloodline of Esau, which means that he would be an Edomite. So that means the Greeks that was in power, which was his family, his bloodline, right, were Edomites. Those are no different than the people that was in power during Rome. That's why they have so many similarities. Those people eventually became the Europe world, the British, right, the French, the Spaniards, the Germans, and we know America was founded on them coming over here, right? Now when you look downtown at the county, at the Capitol building, you have Greek-looking architecture, exactly. And that's the same thing as the Roman architecture. Why is that architecture here? Or if you look on your money, why is that architecture here? Why? Because they're the same people, man. That's what it's talking about. Malachi 1 said they would rebuild. Exactly. They went down, they came back, they rebuilt a place eventually called America, which is called Mystery Babylon the Great, Revelation 17:18. But the Lord said he's going to throw down. Why? Because the Lord's going to come back and destroy this place.
Yeah, because it's building on the backs of his people. And that helps you understand a little bit about reincarnation as well too. Because the reason why a lot of America's architecture today resembles ancient Rome, right, is because these are the same people coming back today in rulership, just in new bodies.
Yep.
So they still got the same mind frame.
Same spirit. And same thing, you go back to them dwelling in the rocks of the mountains.
Exactly. So
they came back with that same spirit reincarnated, and then they started building skyscrapers.
Yeah, right? Exactly. And that's another reason why they're, we forgot to read that too. I want to say it was Obadiah in the fourth verse, when it speaks on, they set themselves up as an eagle, right? And when you think about it, that's the American bird, right? That's the American bird, is the eagle. You know what I mean? So it's just giving you a better understanding of who are the Edomites, where they come from, and what their purpose on earth is.
Yep. I mean, everything is spiritual, and it's still the same thing. They hate the same people they hated back in the day, which are the Israelites. So that's why you see the Negroes went into slavery, the Native Americans, Latinos, and we're still oppressed by them. I got to preach it real quick. This is Hebrews 12, verse 16. Straight to the point. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person as Esau, who for one morsel of meat sold his birthright. So it's saying that Esau is the worst of the worst, which goes with Malachi chapter 1. He's the border of wickedness. And the wicked is in rulership. That's how you put together the clues, man. What was that? Proverbs.
What's the next one?
Yeah, what's that? Proverbs.
No, that's called Job.
Job 9.
Yeah, Job 9:24.
Job chapter 9. America's gonna be destroyed, man. The Lord's coming back to destroy America.
Yes, sir.
Job 9, verse 24. And they think America gonna last forever, man. They proud. But they not gonna be proud when this place is destroyed. You already see it going down. Every week there's something new. America's gonna be destroyed for taking the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans in slavery, man. This place was built on the back of our ancestors. So guess what the Lord gonna do? He gonna come back and destroy it, man, and take the Caucasians into slavery. That's
I mean, the truth is the truth. You know what I'm saying? We just out here prophesying to to the people that don't know, right? The lost sheep, and for the ones that do know, but act like they don't and try to conceal the truth.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So,
and they gonna see, because Edomite just walk by, but he, you know, he kind of tough. He got with his girl. He kind of proud, man. Yeah. This is their kingdom. This is their glory. So we gonna see, man. We've been praying. We've been putting the work up. I feel like the Lord about to really do something, man.
Yeah, it's been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
And don't let, just because you see these gas prices going down a little bit, you think that this that America is
coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back. No, because they go fix that to take your mind off that, and then it's gonna be another boom out of nowhere.
Yep. This is Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the just thereof, if not, where and who is he?
Right there. Right. So the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. So if you look into your pocket, reach into your pocket, and you take some money out your pocket and you look down on that money, right? You gonna see a certain looking type of person on that money, right? And his seed, right? His seed today, which are the Edomites, are still in rulership. It was rulership back then when he was alive, and it's rulership now that he's not, and his people is running.
And what did he call it? The wicked.
Yeah, the wicked.
So whoever's in rulership is being called the wicked, man.
Yeah, and then when it said he covered the faces thereof, I mean, just like I explained, you know, the money, right? Yeah. They took over the money. I mean, it's theirs. I mean, you got, if you Google images of Jesus Christ, what's gonna pop up?
Yep.
You know what I mean? I be watching the elders videos, and one of their favorite lines is, if the so-called Edomites, the so-called white man, is not the one in rulership, then why, when you type up Jesus Christ, image of Jesus Christ, why you don't see a Arab looking man, or a Chinese looking man, right? Or a, you know, so on and so forth, right? That's because they covered the faces of the judges thereof.
And same thing with God. If you type in God, Edomite gonna pop up.
Exactly.
I did a video on they try to reconstruct how the Lord would look, and they made him look like an Edomite. Have blue eyes. That lets you know.
Stringy hair.
That lets you know who's in power.
Exactly.
And then when they went over there to Egypt, the Greeks and everything, when they went over to Israel, they started repainting the paintings. That's called iconoclasm. Right. They started all the black images of the prophets and the Lord. They repainted them and whitewashed them. So they painted their image. I got a precept for that. You can break it down too. This is 2 Thessalonians, chapter 2, verse 3. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first. That man of sin be revealed as son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he as God stood up in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God.
Okay, so pretty much everything that he just read goes along with everything that we was just saying that came right out of the scriptures, right? So pretty much the reason why when you type up Jesus Christ or image of God and a white man comes up, because that's how he look at himself, right? He thinks he is the creator, right? And he's trying to take his place, and that's why the Lord set his people up and he left us this word, because he knew that his image was going to be destroyed, right? But they can't destroy his word, so they knew his image, and the only way, right? Now we all fell victim to it growing up. You know, we all was took away from our heritage and the truth, right? But now that we came into the fold and we read, now we know, and we know that everything that we learned growing up was all a lie. You know what I mean? So, and the reason why is because they look at themselves as being the superior being.
They look at themselves as being God, and like, I gotta put this down as a lesson, but the Lord gave them power over carnal things, not spiritual things. They ain't got power over the spirit, and that's why we still here to this day, still knowing the truth.
Exactly. They ain't got no spirit. Nope, that was it?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, that's been Kemp. That was the last one. Hopefully this was an edifying video, kind of short. But we'll be back next week, you know, to continue to feed the lamb. I mean, the sheep, the lost sheep, and bring out this truth. We're going to end it off by giving our praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakakodas, Shalom.